Okay, hopefully you had a chance to ask any questions that you had about that information, about some of the policies. I'm now going to go over all the assignments in the class. And again, there'll be opportunities for you to ask any questions that you have about them. General questions, personal questions should come to me via email, or you can come see me in the office. But otherwise, we can do some general questions. So I'm still here in the course information tab, and where you'll find all these descriptions that I'm going to go over is here in the assignment descriptions, rubrics, and evaluations folder. um, Joyce is going to hand out to you hard copies of all of these so that you'll have them so that you can follow along. But there's some in particular that you may want to actually download the electronic version, particularly the classroom observations description. That description actually contains some links that you will find very, very helpful. So I definitely recommend that you download that. So I'm going to actually start with, well, I'll go ahead and start with the discussion rubric. So the discussion rubric, you have to make the your first post by Thursday at 8 p.m. You'll want to make sure that you have a good, in-depth, detailed response to the prompt. It needs to be about 2 to 3 paragraphs in length. It should clearly and concisely address all aspects of the prompt, should show your depth of understanding, and supported with reasoning or citations from the text, articles, or web resources where you might have learned about it. Please proofread. And then, of course, you'll submit by Thursday at 8 p.m. Then you need to respond to 2 or more peers. Your responses are 1 to 2 paragraphs. They significantly add to the discussion and are substantial, and sort citations. They include talking about your own personal or professional experiences when appropriated, or maybe you're offering solutions to problems that are posed and you have proofread them, and these are posted by Sunday at midnight. So that's what you need to do to get full credit for the discussion board each week. Excuse me. You'll also be doing, excuse me, a weekly journal. And the way to think about the weekly journal, excuse me, is kind of a discussion that you're having with me. A place for you to talk to me about what you've learned, what the journal prompt says, and also to ask any questions that you may have. And that allows me to either address them to you personally, or sometimes I might see in journal responses that a lot of people have the same question. And then that allows me to go back to the whole class and address to the whole class and answer questions. So you want to make sure that you are responding to all of the questions relating to the journal prompts clearly and concisely. I appreciate concise writing. And that you proofread and have no spelling, grammar, or punctuation errors. So the journal is kind of like a discussion between you and I about what you're learning and the readings and in the class. So that's the journal. The classroom observations, as I was saying, this is the one in particular that you really want to make sure that you have the electronic version, because as you can see here, there are a number of links. So when you're observing, you're actually going to be looking for universal design for learning and how universal design for learning is used in the classroom. You need to observe in 2 different classroom settings. So one of those settings should be in a general education classroom that has students with disabilities included in the classroom. It can be students that are included on 504 plans or qualify as gifted. No, you may not observe in your own classroom if you are teaching in a classroom. And then the second observation should be in a special day class. It can be in a resource room or a special day class. The special day class can serve I know it says in the assignment that a special day class for students with mild, moderate disabilities, but it may be a special day classroom for students with mild, moderate disabilities or moderate severe disabilities. It can even be a county program that serves students with more severe disabilities. So basically, a resource room or self-contained classroom for serving students with disabilities is one of the observations, and then the second observation will be in a general education classroom that serves students with disabilities or who are gifted or along those lines. You need to do at least an hour in each place to have a good sense of what's going on. People often ask me when they're teaching, well, I'm teaching, so how do I do those observations? The different ways that teachers do that who are already in classrooms, if your school starts late, say you have a school that starts at 9 a.m., maybe you'll go to a school that starts early, say at 7 a.m., and you'll do observations that way. Or vice versa, if your school starts early at 7 a.m., then after school lets out, you'll go and observe in a school that starts late. You can observe on your prep or your lunch. Some students take personal days or sick days. You have the assignment here showing that you are required to do these observations. So depending on your school situation and your administrator, I always do recommend that you approach your administrator and let them know that you have this assignment and that you need to be doing these observations. And sometimes administrators will actually give you release time to do so. In terms of finding settings, Joyce may be able to point you in some directions, but also the other students in your classroom may be great resources. So they may either know of schools or they may be teaching in their own classrooms. So while you can't observe in your own classroom, you can go observe in one of your classmates' rooms, classrooms if there's people here who are teaching, or anyone that you know or anyone in a district. We can help you if you really can't find someone and your classmates can't help you, then Joyce or myself can help you find a place to observe in. So you'll want to make sure that you are looking at UDL guidelines, analysis and reflection questions. This actually gives you the Universal Design for Learning guidelines. And one of the things here that's nice about this electronic version is you'll see here that all of these are actually hot links. So that if you click on these will take you to more in-depth information about all of these areas. We'll also be discussing that in class. I think it's either next week or the week after, either week 2 or week 3. We'll be going into far more detail on Universal Design for Learning. So that's the assignment description. You will be completing these observation forms. So people ask me if they can handwrite it. What I say is that if you want to take this form into the classroom and take notes by hand, that's fine. But I will ask you when you turn this in to type them up so that they're easy for me to read, and then also so that you can do a good in-depth respond on the questions. Okay, so that's the classroom observations. Next is the signature assignment. This is your main assignment for the course that you'll be turning into live text. So you won't actually, unlike all the other assignments where you will upload into a Dropbox in the course assignments folder, this you'll actually be uploading into live text. You can see over here is the live text link in the course. It's on the side of the course there. So this will be a 5 to 7 page paper on the current state of inclusive education. You will have your title page, abstract, an introduction. You're going to review the research. You're going to talk about applications, so classroom and school-wide practices that support inclusion, and then that support inclusion, and then you will have a conclusion where you summarize the paper. You'll need at least 5 references. Those need to come from peer-reviewed journal articles. They can come from textbooks, 5 different. Wikipedia is never, ever a scholarly source, so don't use Wikipedia or any those kinds of sites. But the preponderance of your resources should be articles or and books or your textbooks. Your textbook can be one of your 5 resources. So this is the rubric for doing that. Next week in class, I will actually spend time showing you how to use the library website and how to look up and find peer-reviewed journal articles on the library. And we can also talk a little bit about APA style. You do need to follow APA style both in your in-text citations, making sure that you're signing for your information, and your reference list at the end. So that's the signature assignment. And then next is the parent interview. And for this, you're actually going to interview the parent of a child with a disability. Any parent, any child of a disability, it doesn't matter how old or young that child is, as long as it's a parent of a child with a disability. You may not interview yourself. You may interview a relative. Or a friend, or anybody else you know with that is a parent of a child with a disability. If you are a special ed teacher, you may interview one of the parents of the students in your classroom. These are the questions that you can use to guide your interview. You can certainly add additional questions as you go. And then it's a 2 to 4 page paper where you will summarize the interview, provide a personal analysis, and then reflect on the interview itself and what you learned about special education. And then this is the rubric that that I will be using to grade this. One thing to know is that when there are rubrics, I will grade to the rubric. So when there is a rubric, please follow the rubric. Finally, the last assignment is the disability group presentation. So because there's 14 of you in the class, some of these will be presented in a small group of 2 of you. Most of them will be individual presentations. It's going to be a 5 to 10 minute presentation to the whole class about the disability category or categories that you are assigned. And your presentation needs to include these different areas when talking about it. And then you want to make sure